From the previous videos, you already know that we can add assets to Blender by simply dragging and dropping the blend files. But what if I told you there is, in my opinion at least, a more effective and user-friendly way of adding models to the scene? And as you can see right now, I'm actually using that method, and it's called chocofur Model Manager. It's an add-on we have created as a chocofur team for better access to the assets we are providing through our store. And in this short video, I want to show you how you can install the add-on that allows you accessing the models directly in Blender and how you can work with it. If you're familiar with Blender 2.79, the add-on installation process is basically the same, so you need to download the file from our website, and the file is also linked under the video. And the next step is simply adding it to Blender. In Blender 2.79, you were doing it from the file menu here, but in 2.80 we need to use the edit menu because this is where the preferences are located. So we just click this position on the menu here, and this is the window we should have opened with the add-ons section clicked, enabled by default. Then we just click the install button here and select the zip file you just downloaded. So in my case it's desktop, and I just click install add-on from file. So what it does, if everything goes right, you shouldn't have any errors visible. You can also find the add-on just by typing choco here, choco. Yeah, and we will just enable it right now. And these are the default settings of the add-on. You can enable auto update, so this will automatically connect to our source online and check if there is anything new added. And you can do it manually, you can do it automatically, it depends. So the first thing we need to do is setting up the library. If you want to use chocofur Model Manager, the library needs to have a specific structure, and the best way to set up this structure is simply downloading some free packs of our models. And for this tutorial, I'm going to use free accessories, free details, free furnishings, and one of the material packs. So as you can see here, I already have them saved from the website, and I will simply unzip them to the main folder. And what you will see in the screen are those four folders actually created, and this is the base structure of the library. So once you get into any of the folders, you will see subcategories. So in that case, that's accessories, and here we have cooking, hobby, etc. with details. These are all the categories we use for chocofur. So the free models include all of the categories that the other models also use. So I'm going to delete the zip files and get back to Blender to point to our library. So I'm going to click this icon here and select the library. So I'm selecting the main folder, clicking accept here, and once it's all done, I can save the preferences. And the menu for chocofur Model Manager is available here on the right under the N key, and you just need to switch to it here. After installing the free models, you are able to access all of them from the main categories, and then the subcategories are available here. So for the kitchen models, you can see we have quite a lot of them. Same with, no, maybe curtains not, but same with decoration, toys probably. And yeah, the way you add model to the scene is simply selecting it and just clicking add details model. So let's maybe delete the cube, move the model here, And that's it. That's basically it. That's how you add new assets to the scene using the chocofur model manager. One thing worth mentioning at this point is that you can also import the models to the scene based on the 3D cursor position. So let's, for example, add a bed model, and we need to change the input location to cursor, and then the model is created at the 3D cursor. So I think this is a pretty good way of adding new assets to the scene, and this is the way we're gonna add furnishings to the interior scene we are doing throughout the course. So I really hope this video is informative, and see you in the next stage. Hi everyone, in this video we are gonna add the remaining missing models to the interior scene we've been working on. And these models will be, for example, the stools you can see here, and we are gonna use chocofur model manager for that. But before we do this, we need to add those models to the library. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. Since we already have a library established in the previous video, I'm gonna use it as a basic for our library regarding the interior scene. So you can see we have all of the free models installed already, and here I have my models for this interior scene, which are obviously available for you to download from the store page. And in case you downloaded the models as a single files, if you unzip all of them, this is how it's gonna look like. So once you enter a folder, you will have this structure inside the folder. And the way to install the models right now is to simply navigate through the main categories and just drag and drop the files there. Let's start with details. For example, here you can see we have window models. So what I'm gonna do is simply going to the folders and just moving their content into the library subcategory of windows. So it needs to be done like that. When you download chocofur models as bundles, then this entire structure is already set up. But with the free files, unfortunately, we need to go this way. So maybe let's work with the details right now, and yeah, step by step we are gonna build up this library so it consists all of the models we need for the interior. I'm gonna speed up right now and get back to you once it's all done. With all assets installed to the model manager, let's start adding them to the scene. But before we do that, let's keep things nice and tidy. So I'm going to create another collection, call it assets, move to the furniture category here, and I make sure it's selected. So right now, every single model I'm going to add, it will be automatically placed to this collection. Yeah, so I start by focusing my 3D cursor around this area and switching to the model import location as a 3D cursor. Now I'm going to go to the stools and select the model from here. And you can see when I click add, it automatically appears in this location. So it's a pretty good reason to keep things like object origins, etc. organized and nice and tidy. This saves us a lot of time when working on the project. Yeah, so you can see this tool is already installed, and I'm gonna duplicate it right now. But the shortcut I'm gonna use will be Alt-D instead of Shift-D. Now I'm gonna press Shift-R just to repeat the last operation, and I'm gonna delete the placeholders. The reason I'm using Alt-D instead of Shift-D is the following. When we do a Shift-D duplication of the object, the newly created one is a completely independent model. So let's say when I modify it in edit mode, it stays modified just as an individual object. When I duplicate stuff using Alt-D, the model I've just duplicated is linked to all the other copies created using the Alt-D duplication method. And the reason you would consider using Alt-D instead of Shift-D is that sometimes you want to replace multiple objects at the same time. So you can simply add a new geometry in the edit mode to this object, then delete the old one, and automatically everything else will be replaced. That's one of the reasons. But I think the second and most important reason is Blender only uses this one object as a source for all the other objects. So it's much more memory efficient, and that's important when you're rendering using the graphics card, the GPU, in cycles, because otherwise Blender would need to load each one of those models independently, meaning each one of them would consume additional memory space. And when we are using Alt-D duplicating technique, it simply loads the source model once and then copies that information to all those instances. So that's why we call it instancing instead of duplicating. So that was a little bit of theory. Let's now continue adding the remaining objects. And I need to enable one of my cameras for that. So let's select the helpers layer and enable cameras. Let me now switch and place a 3D cursor somewhere around this area here so we can add a table. And now let's select it from the Model Manager's menu and click Add. So you can see the table is automatically placed here. We might need to adjust either its location and dimensions, because you can see it's just a little bit bigger to what we have in the reference. And the reason I'm using this table is that it was the most similar looking to the one we have in the original pictures. Of course, again, if you are forced, or if your client wants you to use a very specific furnishing model, then you have to create it from the scratch. But in our situation, let's just use one of the pre-made models and place it so it's on one hand it needs to fit the reference, but on the other, as long as it looks logical, proportional, and simply correct, then I would say it's we can simply take it. So let's leave it here for now, and let's now add a chair. So it's gonna be this model. Let's rotate it. Perhaps we can even scale it like this a little bit. And in the reference, from what I remember, we have three of those chairs. So again, I'm using Alt-D to populate the scene, Shift-R to repeat the last operation, and again Alt D to duplicate them. Alright, let's move the table just a little bit, and you can see the mistake I did. I had my helpers collection selected here, so let's now select all of those models and move them to the assets category like this. So it's now nice and clean again. I need to adjust the table a little bit, perhaps even more. So let's enter the edit mode very quickly, select the vertices and increase a table size just a little bit so it fits better what we have in the scene. And at this point we are almost done with the external assets, and the only ones missing are those 4 lamps here and the main dining lamp here. So let's just add them now very quickly. I will start with the dining lamp, which is a free model number 9. And you can see the model is placed just a little bit up to the 3D cursor. So I'm gonna move it down, align it somewhere around the center of this wooden tile here. I think it should be this tile. Yeah, I think it matches much more this way. And we can scale the model down just a bit, or maybe up actually. That's enough in my opinion. Let's now add the 4 lamps here. So I need to switch to another camera. And let's use those concrete lamps, which we will modify later in terms of shaders, but what we are looking for right now is finding something with a similar shape. So I'm gonna move the lamp just a little bit down. Yeah, I think this position, perhaps they need to be placed somewhere above the kitchen island. Let's check that out from another camera. Yeah, I would say somewhere here actually, so not necessarily directly over the kitchen island. Let's now very quickly move those lamps around, and I'm gonna enter the edit mode just to increase the lamp's length, because scaling itself wouldn't do it. So let's do it like this. Now let's duplicate the lamp 3 times. Oh, actually a bit more. So just like that. And what we still need fixing with those lamps, I think, are those mounting points. So that's one of the benefits of using the instances, because when I change it within the one object, it will be automatically replacing the others. But I'm going to do it, I'm not going to record that process. It's going to be pretty simple, just adding a cylinder, flattening it out, and yeah, that's basically it. One of the things we need to pay attention to are those spot lamps placed around here, and the reason we need to focus on them a little bit more is that they are put into the ceiling, so we need to cut the openings for each one of those lamps. We will also need to cut an opening for this nice detail here around the window, this vent. So instead of doing it in edit mode as we did with this big opening here for the stairs, I'm gonna use a Boolean modifier for that for the first time in this course. And yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about it in the next video. So this is a current state of our work. I hope you'll like it, and yeah, we see each other again in the Boolean modifier video. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys for watching. This video is part of my interior visualization course in Blender, which you can watch for free on YouTube. All the necessary details and link to the full playlist can be found in the video description. If you want to support what I do and access all of the 3D files used in this course, plus Blender ready interior setups and over 2000 Blender exclusive 3D models, just visit the chocofur store and learn more about our subscription plans. Again, thanks for watching and I see you soon.